I wanted to give a quick demo of some of the things I've been working on for the car that I'm building. So today specifically I wanted to talk about a dash display that I decided I wanted to have in the car. Many modern cars, and especially even higher end cars, tend to have some great in-vehicle gadgetry, and I really wanted to build something that kind of did the basics of getting a nav, which is not that difficult, and getting music, which is not that difficult. But I also wanted to visualize all of the data that's coming off of the car, because all of that data is available in some sort of digital format, so you can aggregate that easily and you can display it. So what I wanted to show you is kind of the beginnings of what I'm building in that regard. So in a car, the form of communication is what's called a CAN bus. It's done on a CAN bus. It's a controller area network. It's an old system that was originally devised in the 80s at Robert Bosch, and it's an industry standard. Every car manufacturer uses this to communicate amongst their devices. And when I say communicate, this is sending vehicle data around to different pieces, and generally telling one device on a car telling another what to do. So there's a large Wikipedia article about this, but the basics of it are this is an industry standard. So what I have on my car is there's an engine control unit, an ECU, that's made by a company called Pectel. It's part of Cosworth, and there are many aftermarket manufacturers of these. But this device basically aggregates all of the sensor data and puts it out onto a CAN bus. It obviously makes lots of decisions based on those sensors, but it also puts it out on a CAN bus for others to do whatever they want with it, whether it is to activate some sort of system or whether it is just to display it. So I'm going to display it. The way I'm going to do that is by using a Linux distribution called Tizen. So I chose Linux because A, it's easy to develop on, and B, there's actually kernel level support for CAN bus. So the code that Robert Bosch Corporation initially wrote, I actually believe that a lot of it was written by Volkswagen. That's been contributed to the kernel, and so it's quite easy to do CAN programming there. Tizen is a very new Linux distribution spearheaded by Intel and Samsung. The target market is all kinds of devices. It's anything from tablets and phones to in-vehicle infotainment. So IVI is the industry moniker for this kind of stuff that sits in the middle of your car, and this is probably their biggest focus right now is getting that off the ground, and so they would work with third parties on the hardware aspects of that. So it's kind of a new project, but it's neat because it's built on all kinds of web standards, and that's actually made development very easy because I've been able to develop locally, and because it's Linux, I've been able to kind of fake out the hardware as well. So what I'm going to show you is I'll fire up a fake ECU, which would be here. Let's get that right. So, alright, so let's fire up the ECU. So this is wholly unspectacular because it's just doing something in the background now. It's generating data, which I then, because this is theoretically, the ECU is a different piece of hardware, this needs to write to a network device, which is, like I said, a virtual device. So this in turn picks it off that virtual device vCAN0. I could, if I had the hardware on this computer, I could just say, this is whatever real CAN device, and it'll pick it up. -T is an option that I actually have a TPMS sensor that I bought, so that I also wired into this. So let's fire this up, and you'll see what happens is there's a whole bunch of CAN data spewing down. So these are CAN frames. This 070 is the frame ID, and then this is the data. And the long lines you see scrolling by is the TPMS data. That's actually just a little USB device. So now that I've got data flowing, let me show you the display. So this is the display in the standard format. This isn't super technologically savvy. I fired this up earlier, and it wasn't connected to the server yet, and it's not auto connecting, but I just want to show you this and highlight that the needles are sticking straight up in a standard position. So that's soon to change. Let me refresh and have it connect to the server. So here we go, connecting the server, standard position, and there we go, it got the data. So oil temperature is at 110, water at 72, and air at, I don't know what that is, 27, I think. These don't move. I didn't program this to move. I just picked a random value and I bring it over. But we can look at what all the values are that are coming in. So here is just the laundry list of all the things I'm generating. And I'm absolutely not generating everything yet. I just wanted to prove the data path works, and I'll kind of go from there. And the UI on this is not the greatest either. I'm not really about the UI right now. I just want to make sure that I can do the basics like drawing gauges and having them move. So let's see, we said that, what were we looking at? We were looking at oil temperatures 110, water temperature 72, and air temperature is 27. So that's what they are. Here you see the TPMS data coming in, both the pressure and the temperature. Pressure is 0 because I don't have the sensors nearby, and they're also not in a not within a tire. And then here's a whole bunch of other data: wheel speeds and engine speeds, and the actual car speed. So let me, and down here you can see a couple of outputs. Here's that same kind of, these are the exact frames that are coming over the wire that you saw earlier. And then here's just the data rate. This data rate's probably a little bit high potentially. There's some work to do on throttling this a little bit, but it's working, and that's the most important part. So the other screen I can just quickly show you is this screen. It shows the miles per hour and the revolutions per minute. So these dials are obviously moving, and this should actually shift pretty soon. It's going to shift at about 8,200 RPM, I think. So this is Neil's going to bounce. There we go, it bounced. So you can just kind of see, and this is obviously too slow to be a real car, but these are moving, and that's the proof right there. These gauges are going to be not in the center dash, but these will be within the driver dash, so these will probably go away, but I just wanted to kind of make sure that they work. So here's the other page, and this is kind of cool. So I drew an outline of the car, and here I'm displaying the pressure and the temperature data, and again these values are 0 because the sensors are not connected. So anyway, here you go. This is the sort of info part of an IVI system. It's not the tainment part. The entertainment part comes with the Tizen packages. It has a nav. It has a if you have Bluetooth, it has a phone support. If you had actually a device that supports a SIM, it'll do phone calls. It'll basically do everything that a car display does out of the box, or a car system does out of the box. And so I'm adding to it this kind of customized data display, and you can see that I've got this sort of log tab right here. So I plan to be able to log this. There's also, now that I have the data flowing, I'll probably cache some amount of it over time and display it on graphs. There are tons of things to do once you know that you have the data flowing correctly. So anyway, that's it. I hope you like this quick little demo, and hopefully I'll make some more progress on this soon, and I can post some more. Take care.